Vring, vring. Doo, 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 doo. Nice. It's 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and it is Friday, the 2nd of May. We made it through the communist holiday, AD 2025. So let me see if I can set this redirect over on Pilled. Set the raid, the Hake report, and see if it goes. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's anyway, over because I started streaming on pilled.net / the Hake report. It's a new platform, well, new to me anyway. And thank you, Jesse Lee Peterson, send it over on YouTube as well as Rumble for raiding the streams over there. That's cool. Very kind. Much appreciated. Multiple platforms we're live on. I wonder if I'm live on BitChute. JLP wasn't live on BitChute today. Yeah, I am. Not that you guys can find it, so it's kind of useless, but I appreciate their effort, right? Nice. We're going to have a fun loosey-goosey, like my t-shirt, sort of loose with that size large. I think I might need to grow into it a bit, but if I have good posture, it looks pretty good. I just have to stay like this. People tell me, some people tell me that I should wear darker colors. Whatever. I will be getting to your calls. Some of you guys already on hold. Very kind. What's up, Bean Hat? Crispy 13. Shout out. Deconstruct. Carver. He says, happy birthday, Hake. Thank you, man. Yeah, it was just my birthday back in July. And we're in May now. Keith says, you are the man, Hake. And I had to approve that message. It was withheld for some odd reason. What? YouTube doesn't believe it? Shoot. I'll show you, YouTube. If you wash your shirt and dry on high heat, you can wear large shirts. Indeed, Carver. That was part of the problem. It's not just that I'm getting fatter, not fitter. I like to think I've gotten fatter and a little marginally fitter, marginally less remedial in my fitness. But yeah, I agree because somehow I normally wash on low heat. Skinny fat. Yeah, terrible. Don't look at me. And yeah, so all my clothes are that I recently washed. Can you believe it? Why? Became like that. So anyway, it's Friday. It's Fob Friday. What does that mean anymore? Practically nothing. Because we can't play, or I'm refraining mostly from playing copyrighted music, except for Mary Rice Hopkins. And maybe I should even refrain from that. Terrible. Let's see. Whoa! That's good and loud. Nice. We're over here in San Onofre. Not. This is footage from when? January of this year. I haven't been down to San Onofre in a little bit. So now I'm unpredictable on Saturdays. You can't tell me. You can't stalk me as easily, perhaps. Maybe I shouldn't challenge the stalkers. So, these judges, do they get you down? Do they get under your skin? These degenerate, liberal, communist, same thing, right? Judges, so-called. An Hispanic judge whom our greatest president, supposedly he approved or nominated these judges. They're trying to say, oh, Trump can't invoke the wartime powers thingamajigger because that's in violation of whatever. I don't know. You're not supposed to do that. You can't deport illegals. Imagine that, these judges telling you cannot deport illegals. Did they get under your skin? They really chap my hide. They really grind my gears. I'll tell you what. But hey, It really doesn't concern me if you pause a little bit. Is it me or are all the lines full? My goodness. I will be getting to your calls, everybody. But I just want to make sure that I'm all set up. We do have the fallen state happening after, so I may want to take the time to do some technical stuff to set up for JLP to be unpilled for the fallen state. Or maybe it will just be a little bit late. You know, it's no big deal. Right? Isn't this nice? I like a forlorn place. Is forlorn maybe not the right word, but you know, a quiet place, nobody around, as the Batman sang in the movie Newsies, I'm alone, but I ain't lonely. This is how America should be all over. Desolate. Maybe not desolate. No, I like crowded places too. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just make sure that this is ready to go over here. Anyway, guys, I feel like I should get started here. So, let's just get right on with the AJ Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report. Christmas Eve, 2017. So, with the show!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys! I hope you're enjoying the weekly AJ Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report with the 666 la 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 satanic symbol inadvertently placed on Hake.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Oh my goodness. Terrible. Lord. Look at this. This boomer over here, Hake, figured, oh, I can just not, without looking, move my mouse and just click anywhere and it'll pause the video. Nope, it's not what happened. It skipped ahead. This is the second time I've done that. Anyway, that's just irrelevant to you guys. So I'd like to get to a couple of calls here so that we can keep at least a line or two open for you guys who want to get in. Okay? Oh, by the way, my t-shirt, mildly attractive. If you mosey over to the Hake Report website, thehakereport.com, and you click on shop, it'll pop open hake.printify.me, and you have various options. Let me know if there's other options that you want that are not listed, and I'll try to get to them. For example, like mugs, I don't have any. I have a couple of stickers, the white and the clear. A couple of sweatshirts. They're not 100% cotton, I don't think. But 100% cotton t-shirts, because that's what I prefer. And I imagine you might have the same. And you might consider ordering a size up, a size bigger, if you're anything like me than you're used to, unless you really like shirts that fit a touch on the tight side. But some of them are comfort colors, 1717, very good quality, but a slightly odd fit, but really nice quality. And then, of course, the trustworthy Gildan. I mean, not Gildan. That's when it's not Gildan. But Gildan, I don't know, different types of Gildan. Heavy cotton, unisex, I don't know, soft style. I'm trying to get stuff that I think that I would wear, and hopefully you would too, whatever. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. So, David in Ocala, Florida, is on the line. David, thank you for calling, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, Hake.
Sweet.
I'm making it, buddy.
Hanging in there. You remind me of one of the guys from church. He always says, hanging in there.
Is that what he says?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me call you about this, man, because first out here, I want to thank you for having Omar on your show, because I never would have realized how messed up them people are unless I did some research on them.
Oh, okay.
The Muslims, okay?
Yeah.
And he's a full-fledged whack job, but let me explain to you
okay,
why
so
I say that.
He's referring to my guest, Third Rail with Omar, who has been a fairly frequent guest on the Hake Report, and he's Yemeni American. He came from Yemen. Yeah. He was born in Yemen, came to America at a young age. I don't like those hyphenated names or whatever, but he's Yemeni, but he's American. And he's Americanized, but he's also has his heart partly in the Middle East or wherever Yemen is, Asia.
Oh yeah.
And he's part Muslim. He's Muslim,
right?
But he's not that serious about it. But he's pretty serious about it. And so, what do you say?
He's serious about it. Okay, trust me, he's serious about it. Okay. Yeah. He hides behind, before I get into telling you what they believe, he hides behind them glasses and those Major League Baseball hats and that Philly jersey, okay?
I don't know. I think that's part of what he's about, though. I don't think that's an act.
Yeah, it might be, but that's just deceptive, It's like, hey, I'm all American. Look at me. I'm just like you, okay? Because he's not, okay?
Well, everybody... In this guy's defense, everybody is, it's not even really a defense. It's like a human nature thing. Everybody is like that. Even the Christians are hiding what they're really about. And yeah, they say that it's built into their religion about conquest and taqiyya or whatever. Yeah, but I mean, that is part of how all of human nature really is, including many of us Christians who aren't really checking ourselves fully. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I agree with him about is that he is right about this, that we have blown up a bunch of innocent women and children sent to Vietnam, okay? And we're going to pay for that, okay? So,
well, you and I, or we as in different, the Americans who did that?
No, America will pay for that.
Oh,
because you're not going to get around it. I mean, it's
you reap what you sow,
man. Sure, America. That's why a lot of people believe America is a mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots that gets torched, taken out in one day. Anyway, let me share with you what these people believe. So when the Muslims believe that Jesus never died on the cross.
Yeah, that's my other caller, the Coptic Christian, Anthony from SoCal, I believe, stated, I think.
Right, and this is what they believe. They believe that their God, Allah, which is not our God, okay, but their God, Allah, took him and used another person that looked like Jesus and had him crucified instead. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, so now check this out. They believe that Jesus will return at the end of the days to defeat the Antichrist, and then he'll live a normal life, die, and be buried alongside Muhammad of Medina, whoever that cat was. Okay, maybe that's the original Muhammad guy from 610 or whatever that started this, false religion.
Yeah.
Now, that's why you got to know the Word of God, because the Word of God says if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead, you shall be saved. So none of them people believe that that the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, raised Jesus from the dead. They don't believe that Jesus died on the cross for the atonement of sin. So what they are known in the Bible as is Antichrist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, that's some messed up stuff, buddy. I mean, now, why do you think they let all them Muslims into our country? Because 87% of them vote Democrat.
Right. Is it 87% now?
Yes, 80 supposedly to the statistics I read.
Is it
But
true?
now
Is it true what Omar was saying that prior to W. Bush and the 9/11 reaction, they were mostly Republican? Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know too much about him until you had him on your show.
Even if
when
that,
I started. I mean,
oh, you didn't know much about Muslims?
no, I really didn't.
Oh, okay.
It's just listening to him lying like he did. I had to, do some research and, call him out. I mean, the dude's going straight to hell, and all those people are, okay?
Well, that's his life, though, That's,
Sure it is. Hey, that's his life, but you notice how every time you backed him into a corner, he went to the children getting blown up and the women.
right.
About that war over there.
Yeah, it was all about what the Israelis are doing wrong, according to him and many others, but nothing about what it takes two to tango.
Right.
And without even
listen,
taking away from anything that he said, because I don't know if anything that he said was untrue. It's just that he's not telling the whole truth, and it's hard for him to accept that we should deal with both where both are wrong. I mean, in terms of acknowledging where both are wrong. Like, he can't even admit that he can't even admit that it's wrong. He just says it's natural. It's a natural reaction to become, quote unquote, terrorist against against the oppressor.
Well, here's something. The Palestinians are sort of like the blacks. Okay. It's never.
That's how I see
enough, it. Okay. So if you go back, you can look when Obama was in office. He got the Israel to give up some land.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember how much it was, but they showed video footage of people, Israelis, taking sledgehammers to their houses because they weren't going to let these Palestinians move in their house. They had to leave the area.
Yeah.
So before they left, they went in their houses with sledgehammers and chainsaws and totally destroyed their houses so these people couldn't move into their house.
What a mess! Isn't that sort of petty?
Well, it's like, they hate each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's not right.
Sure, it's not right, but
Yeah.
that would be like, listen, I got a decent house.
I don't want you to become like. I recommend not. You don't want to be the opposite of what Omar is, which is to say, oh, it's a natural reaction by the Israelis to hate the Palestinians, because that's what he was saying about the Palestinians.
The only reason why they hate them is because they're blowing them up all the time. I mean,
but
can you imagine being like, okay, you're an Israeli, right, and you hop on.
But
a
as
bus
Christians, we know better than to justify hatred. There's always a reason for hating. But there's never a real good reason for hating, because we're not God.
Look back in the past, man. Okay, so
didn't Jesus say, love your enemies?
Yes, he did, but I'm just trying to show you why the Israelis don't like the Palestinians, okay?
Well, I can clearly imagine and see why they don't like each other, why they hate each other.
Right, because they get up
and they both have valid complaints probably about each other.
Well, they get up one morning to take their children to school on the bus, and they get blowed up. Okay?
Yeah, I heard about that bus attack, which happened in, I forget when that was, maybe 2005, but I watched one of my former guests, and he mentioned on a clip of one of my former guests, I'm blanking on his name. He's this young millennial or Zoomer guy, actually. Man, I'm blanking on it. But he mentioned that bus terrorism attack. That's crazy. But that's one person who did that. Maybe somebody helped him, right? And that's kind of like a white will do a terrorist attack sometimes in our own country, right? There's been the El Paso Walmart shooting. And then the whites get blamed for it, but that was one white who did that. And there's maybe a handful of whites who are like, yeah, they're so angry that they support killing. But but most whites and all that, you don't want to support anybody. You don't want to support the hatred of the group based on the actions of the individual. You shouldn't even hate the individual, honestly.
Oh yeah, well,
I get that it's rough. I wouldn't want to have my kids blown up on a bus if I had kids and a bus.
Right, but I'm gonna let me share this with you, okay, real quick too. Okay, you can't be Jeffrey Dahmer, because I heard this. I think it came on a Joel show.
Joel,
he did a thing
Friday.
about Dahmer a while back. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's Dahmer got this kid handcuffed in his freaking house. Okay, and he lays his head on his chest, listening to his heart, telling him, "I'm gonna cut your heart out and I'm gonna eat it," while he's got The Exorcist playing on the television set. And you're gonna tell me, after all the wicked stuff that man did at the end of his life, he can just say, "Oh Jesus, I'm so sorry. Let me in"? I don't believe it works that way. I think once you cross a certain line, like, say, serial killers that kill 12 people, 12 women, they find them buried all over America. I don't believe for 1 second that you can all of a sudden just say, "Oh, God, please forgive me and let me come to heaven now that I did all this destruction."
Is that based on your own understanding?
Well, that's based on the fact that I don't believe that the thief on the cross, okay, the reason why the thief on the cross got in was because he realized that Jesus was the Messiah. The other one didn't, refused that Jesus was dying for his sins. And I think a person can get to the point. God says he turns them over to reprobate minds, okay? And once you become a reprobate-minded person, you're unredeemable.
But is that your own understanding too?
That's my belief. Okay, whether I'm right or wrong, I'll find out one day when I get judged by Jesus. Okay, because you just can't do tons of destruction. You can't destroy people's lives. And see, what you don't realize is killing unborn again people, you're sending them to hell.
Terrible.
You follow what I'm saying? You go out and murder somebody that's not saved, and they're not going to heaven.
You think you're different? You think you're better than Jeffrey Dahmer then?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I'm not. No, I've done bad. It's just the fact that I know that Jesus is the Messiah and that he died on the cross to save the world of their sins. Now, I might get to be, God might say, "Hey, listen, David, you were wrong about that. I forgave Jeffrey, and that's that." Okay, and I'll say, "Okay, Lord, you're right, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry." But me thinking this way is not going to send me to hell or anything. What sends you to hell is when you deny the cross and the blood, because that's why Jesus said, "It is finished." That was the last thing he said, "It's finished." So the moral of the story of this phone call is those Muslims totally take away the whole cross and just, destroy it. How do you say their God Allah used another, like an imposter, to die on the cross?
I don't really.
That's brutal.
I honestly don't care. Even the alleged, supposed boiling in whatever HE double toothpicks that they claim that the Jews Talmud supposedly says about Jesus. I don't care about that. Jesus probably doesn't even care about that. Because
I'm misunderstanding what you're saying about
what they're saying about what Jesus really did or didn't do, because they're believing a totally different religion. Of course, they're going to believe different things and maybe even demeaning things in a worldly thinking Christian mind. I don't like that's. What do you expect? They don't believe in it. So why would you act like that's an extra bad thing to believe? If you don't believe, you don't believe. You're going to believe something else. But aren't you? I don't think that you saying that Jeffrey Dahmer didn't get to heaven, it was fake. He was just trying to get an easy in to heaven or whatever, or easy out of hell. I don't think that's going to keep you in hell necessarily, but aren't you denying the power of the blood of Jesus by saying that somebody who crosses over into serial killing, only they are reprobate minds, and some of the gays and others, only they are the reprobate minds and not the rest of us?
Well, it says
You're
that
acting
Satan was a murderer from the beginning. So
right.
they're the children of Satan, buddy.
And anyone who hates
now,
his brother is a murderer, according to 1 John, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
don't hate Jeffrey Dahmer. I hate.
No, I'm not thinking that you do.
He did.
Yeah, I haven't really watched what he did. I don't really have the stomach for it, I guess.
Anyway, the thing is when there's different Jesuses out there. There's a Mormon Jesus.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Jesus. There's a Muslim Jesus.
There's a communist Jesus. There's a communist Jesus.
But there's only one true Jesus. That's the point. And
right.
unless you worship him and serve him and honor him, you are on a road for destruction.
But aren't you denying the power of the cross by saying certain sins, certain levels of mass murder is crossing over to the unredeemable? I thought only blasphemy of the Spirit would not be forgiven.
Well, there's another thing that you're not going to be, the people that take the mark of the beast aren't forgiven, okay? They won't be forgiven neither.
But aren't you denying the power of the blood? The power of forgiveness?
You got a point there. Hey, you got a point, Hake. I can't judge him totally.
Yeah.
It's just my thinking is like, hey, listen, how can a person's heart be that wicked that you're going to put your head on another man's chest while he's handcuffed, scared out of his mind, and you're going to tell him, I'm about to eat your heart while you got The Exorcist playing on the TV? I mean, come on, man.
So you'd be surprised that the horrific things that people do, and sometimes you've probably done or think without even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, right. Like, say you could say Hitler killed all those Jews, and at the last minute at the bunker, he said, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right.
Who knows? Like, it's honestly odd I think, for us to even ponder or try to judge what they are doing. You know, when Peter, I think, was hanging out with Jesus after he rose and he cooked the fish for them after they found him. You know, they came upon the shore and he was cooking fish for them or whatever. And he was walking with Peter, I guess. And the disciple whom Jesus loved was walking behind them. And Peter's like, what about him? And Jesus is like, if he's not going to die, what does that have to do with you? Basically, don't be concerned. Sounds like don't be concerned with other people's.
Well, they did send him out to go out and preach the gospel, so evidently Jesus was concerned about.
No, but I know, but it wasn't theirs to judge whether they're going to heaven or hell, or going to live or die.
Well, it's not my point to judge who's going to heaven and hell either. It's Jesus's. I'm just telling you, I got a hard time, okay, with the fact that these people just think, because that's how you get yourself in trouble out in the world, being too, not watching out for yourself, like thinking, oh, nobody's going to attack me and rob me, okay? That's when you get robbed, all right? When you get killed, when you're not looking, it's like this. I know this is
Mikey
crazy,
Baseball says that the Bible counters what you're saying.
What does it counter?
If you truly come to repentance, you will be saved. Jesus will forgive you. Just saying.
That is true. If you truly come to repentance.
Yeah. So but you're acting like Jeffrey Dahmer.
No, I'm saying I got a hard time with people like.
Or that the Muslims who said that Jesus was, it was an imposter whom they actually crucified. The real Jesus wasn't me.
Yeah, they're going to hell, dude. That's
but
you
don't know. They may repent.
Well, maybe some of them will, but you think Omar's going to do that, buddy? No.
Maybe.
Do, bro.
Hey.
Yeah, but hey, listen, I used to think like that 15 years ago, 20 years ago, too.
Like how?
Wait till you get around about 60 and you see more stuff, and you'll start thinking, that just doesn't make sense.
I'll become more black-pilled, you mean? How did you think 15 years ago? Like me, all doe-eyed?
Well, I was just more meek and
naive.
I wasn't hard. Yeah, I was way more naive and hard, not hardened up like this. I've seen too much stuff now.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. We had a great discussion on Punchy TV with Pearl, who's totally black-pilled because she knows so much about what's going on between men and women, or so-called men and so-called women, and she's like, you guys are so naive. You believe all that stuff. And I get that most people are hellbound and in hell. I get that. I get that. And yeah, I don't want to be lame-o and naive, of course. But you sound like you're almost saying you've gotten more hard-hearted.
No, I just got more ornery. You know, I used to see these
She's
old
pretty, by the
people
way.
that
I didn't
these
realize
old
how
people
pretty she is.
that-
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. When I was a kid, man, when I was like 15 years old, I knew a lot of older people that were just
Ornery.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, they were pissed, okay? They were pissed, and this is in 1980, dude, before Obama came in, before 9/11, before, you know, COVID, before, you know, all these 20 million immigrants coming across the country.
I know.
You know?
It's only gotten worse.
Yeah, so now I'm like, listen, I'm just telling you.
You
if I
used to
could
be
go
kind
back-
of anti-racist because of your upbringing. You know, you're a boomer. And now you're turning racist because of how evil these people are.
I am turning racist.
Yeah.
Hold up. Now, I'm not racist against the blacks.
Okay.
Okay, the nice blacks,
Right.
like I wouldn't be racist against Jesse if I sat down and talked with him,
Yeah.
or William from California. But them little iggas that are running around toting 9mm, yeah,
Pardon me.
I'm racist against them. Okay.
Yeah. I got you.
I wouldn't. I'd fight one of them in the Walmart in a New York second. If they did something they said something to my wife wrong or touched my wife. Okay, I'm out on them, and maybe I might get stabbed in the heart and die, but who cares? Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm out on them. They are destroying our country, buddy.
Well,
okay?
yeah, it takes two to tango, the weak people. The weak people and the angry people are contributing to that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
just so you know, I don't run around with a scowl on my face and
No, I'm not
Mr.
thinking
mean
that.
white guy. Okay, I don't do that. Okay, I give somebody, I give them a chance, you know, to make themselves look like they're an a-hole or a racist or they want to hurt me. You know, that's all I'm saying. I don't go try to attack them.
You're not sounding very Christian, David. I mean,
I know sometimes I don't because I'm older now and I'm like, I had it.
yeah.
Okay?
No, I get
literally
it.
Had it with this crap.
Right.
You know.
Well,
So that's what I mean. You know.
let me
So
ask you a
listen,
quick
I know you got to move.
Yeah,
Okay.
one quick question. Have you ever tried JLP's silent prayer? Checked it out at all?
Nah, I'm not. Nah, dude. I don't even want to talk about that kind of stuff, bro. I mean, because I don't want to be derogatory on your show about that stuff.
That's fair.
I mean,
but
how about this? It's
just a
not
yes or
for
no.
me.
Just fair enough. But
No,
yes or
no,
no.
I've never
No.
done
But
it. No.
before you answer,
Uh-huh.
a yes or no. Have you looked at the web page?
No.
rebuildingtheman.com/silent
I
prayer.
think I've been on there, but I never read about the prayer or anything like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Because that's the same web page where you sell your merchandise and have your.
Well, there's also on a different page we do have the merch and stuff. Yeah, on the stores page, but on the prayer page it has a video, audio, and a little transcript write up thing. But
Before I
no
go,
problem.
Because I'm going to ask you one more question. Do you believe that God raised Jesus from the dead? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, man. I'll let you go, bro. You'll have a great day.
You as well, David. Fun talking to you.
All right. Thanks. Hey, thanks a lot. All right, man.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I love the boomers. Don't you love the boomers? You better love the boomers. Chase in Tejas, Texas, on the line here. Chase, are you there?
Get you off speaker. Yeah, let me get you off speaker. I was in the middle of a text and an email and stuff for work.
Nice. Shout
Okay, so
out.
I can't.
We love the working men here on the Hake Report. Mad respect, much respect. Mad is more Zoomer millennial to say. I think I stole that from Anchor Baby. It just doesn't fit coming out of my mouth. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's got some serious Zoomer lingo.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm doing this work. Actually, I really prefer to be outside because
Nice.
getting wound up sitting on a computer.
Yeah.
I just sit here doing these these estimates and stuff. Actually, you know, I was saying this in the chat. These are really cool. You download this software, and if you can get in with any roofing company is what I would suggest. But all you got to do is learn how to use the software. You can put these estimates in. You can get an email from like the specs of what people need for the new roof coming off of their insurance company. And then when you enter the information, the software instantly calculates it. You got to know what to look for. There's codes and all this stuff.
High
and
tech.
then once you send it to them, they're paying up to $1,250 per estimate.
Whoa, crazy. All right.
Yeah, and you can sit in your living room, do them right off your phone when you get home from work. So it's a nice little thing. But anyway, so I was wanting to bring up the video that Jesse was showing earlier about the woman that was cussing at that little kid for stealing from her.
A woman called a little kid the N-word on the and it went out on the internet. Some Latino sounding guy said, "Oh, we'll find out what the internet thinks of you, evil person."
Yeah.
Tattletale.
Yeah.
Mama.
I bet you he didn't even go home and discipline that child for stealing either.
Oh, that was his own kid?
I think it was. I thought it was.
So was he like a black Hispanic or something? Because it sounded like a Hispanic accent, unless I just don't know my accents, which is the fact.
It sounded more on the, I'd say, Middle Eastern. I think someone in the chat said he was a Syrian.
Oh.
I didn't research the video. I just watched it, so I can't tell you. Don't get me lying, but
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
as far as that goes, I remember even back in the 90s when you had neighborhoods, people would actually communicate. None of this stuff, the digital walls people put up, and people would actually communicate. And I remember neighbors being allowed to discipline us if we stepped out of line at their house, and it was acceptable. I mean, they wouldn't necessarily smack you around. I had one that did it to me because they had some kind of little electric top, and they had this real young kid in there, and I was playing around, and I was trying to balance it on top of her head. I think I might have been 5 years old. It was 93, I'm guessing, so 5 or 6, something like that. And I put this little top on the top of her head to see if it would balance, and it twisted up in her chair, and she started screaming bloody murder. The mom walked in, beat my two. I was traumatized by it almost. But then looking back, it's kind of like, I mean, I can't really get too mad at that woman for doing that. I mean, it was kind of abusive. It was a Mormon family, lived down the street. And,
interesting.
Were
they
were
white Mormons or Hispanic Mormons? Because I knew a Hispanic Mormon. Okay.
They were white. We lived in it was more like at that point in time before my dad had got picked up by this bigger company. We lived in this kind of lower class neighborhood. So you had a mix of like lower class to sort of lower middle class whites with some Mexicans, handful of blacks. It was one of those neighborhoods. So we all for the most part played. We had a trampoline, jumped on the trampoline, get in fights. We would get in fights on the trampoline because we would play Mortal Kombat after we'd get done playing it on Sega, and then someone would smack someone too hard. Next thing you know, we're chasing each other around the yard, throwing hands, and that was good old times. So
the other adults used to be able to discipline us, even physically sometimes, and that was the norm. And the other parents, the overprotective parents, weren't around yet.
No,
the generations have definitely gotten worse in many ways. That's true.
Well, yeah, and as this goes on, it's going to get a lot worse. And if you remember in the Bible, it says, for as a discipline method, God is going to allow the women and children to be above you.
Yeah, that's already the fact, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, remember the March for Our Lives? Dumb kids shout out, who were like, oh, we need gun control. We'll call it gun safety because everybody knows that gun control is a violation of the Second Amendment. We'll call it gun safety and fool the suckers who think that they're fair-minded. What a mess. That's children.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they use that fancy wordplay, like when they say the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
They make you think it's federal. They don't. A lot of people nowadays are pretty wise to it. They just don't understand the complexity of it and where it actually came from. But They use that fancy wordplay and they think that's going to fool people. And the saddest part is it really does.
Yeah.
But, you know, back on the kids thing, yeah, they got kids controlling parents because
True.
a kid puts his hand on a parent puts their hand on a child, the child can just call Child Protective Services, and then the kid has all the power.
What a mess. And partly the parents give that power by sending the kids to public schools where teachers will usurp the parents and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, and they got
social
unions
media
now, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It is. Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, that was, I can kind of want to tell this story. I remember when I was younger, and my dad actually had bought me a bike for my birthday. And somehow it came up missing out of our garage. And one of my friend's dads told him it was that Mexican kid up the street. So he got me in the truck, and we ran around looking for this kid and saw him on a bike. It wasn't mine, but it was a bike. And my dad stopped his truck and got out and started talking to the kid. And he was stern. He wasn't mean. I couldn't make out the words, but I could tell. And my dad was not. He was very stern. He, you know, the way he came up and everything, and how he got himself clean and in the position he did and met my mom, it took a lot of discipline for him to pull that off. So he wasn't someone who was ready to just take anything from anyone when it came to words. So this kid said, "I'm not telling your white, ass anything." My dad grabbed that kid by the shirt and said, "Listen here, you little..." That kid looked like he was about to crap his pants. He put him down and he said something to him. And I was like, well, that was pretty cool. I was young. This kid was maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I thought, that was cool, Dad. And so we went up to the kid's house where he lives, talked to the dad. He knew the dad. I think he worked with the dad at one point in time. And the dad was pretty upset. Not at that. He was mad at his kid. My dad shook his hand, and then we got in the truck. And next thing I know, my bike turns back up.
Wow.
And the kid's dad is still friends with my dad, and he disciplined his son, which was the proper thing to do. My dad wasn't going to hurt that kid, but he knew. He said, "You're not going to talk to me like that. You're going to understand that I am an authority figure in this situation."
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, it worked. But nowadays, you do something like that, my dad would have been on CNN for the most racist killer in the world. And
no respect.
You go with that kid's run everything now.
Yeah. Nice, Chase in Texas. Yeah. Appreciate that. Good to hear from you, man.
Well, anyway, I got to get back to this. I got someone to call. I'm trying to cook up some ideas here for some extra money. So
back to it. Nice. Take care.
All right, man. Yeah.
Bye. And Jeff in Louisiana on the line over here. Jeff, thank you for calling and holding, man. Go for it.
Hey, man, one quick thing before I get to what I call for. I tried to go over this week, but got stuck on hold. Did it say one thing?
Yeah, Omar's comments.
Yeah, but real quick for that, earlier this week, Trump signed an executive order that says anybody's got a CDL in the country has to speak and write English.
Anybody who's a what in this country has to speak and write English?
Who's a CDL truck driver?
Oh, okay.
Has to be able to speak and read English.
Nice.
But on Omar, dude, that dude is he's off the wall.
Yeah.
I listened to he's been on the show 2 or 3 times I know of. And all he talks about is Palestine. That's why I asked that question today, was he Palestinian or American?
Yeah. Right.
And when I ask him that question, what I say, please just answer one word. Because we're at the end of the show, I'm taking my words in. And he goes on about how he lives better than every other American and all this crap.
Yeah.
Dude, we're trying to ask you a question.
Right.
But did you notice, once I started talking about Trump, all he does, he pauses on English. He called him up because he shit on Trump, everything Trump does.
Mm-hmm. True.
But when I started listing reasons Trump was doing what he was doing, I was the only person he'd ever rebuttal to.
Yeah, and he didn't really have a good answer. It was just, I would do it differently, like he knows so much. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think that these guys really know what they're talking about. And go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're right about what you mentioned with the American thing. If he were truly full-blown American, he would not be concerned with this Israel-Palestine thing as much as he is. He's on a side, and it's not right to be on a side. I get that I sound like I'm on Israel's side, and I do lean more that way, but I can see that there's like fair points from the pro-Palestine or anti-Israel side, but it's not really my concern, and I'm not gonna take sides on this defunding of a organization like Harvard University and these other universities that, in my opinion, shouldn't be funded anyway. If they're defunding them because of so-called anti-Semitism, fine. I don't believe in anti-Semitism. I don't think that's a real thing. But I get that the Jewish students, sometimes they get treated a little bit unfairly by the people who are not fair-minded, who are playing victimhood for the Palestinians. Those are degenerates. So let's find how, by hook or by crook, break them up and defund them. I'm for that. But he wants to play like, oh, he's covering up the genocide. Genocide is a liberal word. I don't buy into that kind of language.
Well, the Palestinian state is only recognized by, I think, 141 or 143 out of the 191 UN countries.
Yeah, it's a debatable issue.
The UN and the United States does not reconcile. The United States doesn't recognize the Palestinian state.
Right. Yeah.
But since the Omar course in the 90s, we've given them $7.6 billion.
Oh, we have? We've given them $7.6 billion?
Yeah, and we don't recognize them as a state.
We don't recognize them, but we'll give them money. Because we're such do-gooders.
And if you're going to go back to be real nitpicky, Osama bin Laden was an Arab. So why didn't he donate money to them? They expelled him from being an Arab back in the 90s.
Who is that?
Osama bin Laden.
Osama bin Laden. Oh, okay. We gave him money too, didn't we?
Yeah, back when he was, who was he with? He was against Iraq back in the Gulf War.
Under Obama and Hillary, I think we funded ISIS. We give these money to these no-good victims, and they turn into crazy perpetrators.
Yeah, but it's just, they're just like, I mean,
weapons.
He calls in his show, and all he's done, the 2 times I heard him on his show, all he does is scream about Palestine, Palestine, Palestine.
Yeah.
And then I'm not you, but he's trying to strip you from his show because what he say, everyone calls in, call my show, we can debate there.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's just that's for your personality or your morals when you try to come on your show and try to steal your viewers.
Oh, yeah.
You're in a platform talking, trying to take your viewers.
Right. Yeah, I get you. He's a guest. I didn't really think about it that way, but yeah, it is kind of, it's kind of like those people who are just sort of a sleazy businessman who's going to get business and try to get business any way you can. That's kind of funny. Maybe you might have a fair point on that. But I have the same problem with the Armenians who are like, oh, recognize our genocide from 100 years ago. Oh, Armenia is getting invaded, or we're having a fight with Azerbaijan. And you have all these people who are supposedly Americans taking up a cause for something overseas where they left. Be here. Be for here.
Well, man, I got one thing to say on all that is these countries have been in existence, or these groups, not even say countries, I'll say groups and religions and all this stuff over there for thousands of years, supposedly. Mm-hmm. And they ain't figured nothing out. America is less than 50 years old. What do? We come, we conquered the land, we settled it, we built our society, and now everybody expects us to say theirs. I mean, how do you take somebody like China that's 2,000 years old and can't function as a country without American input?
Yeah.
And we're 250 years old. I mean, it's just, we're expected to save everybody, and there's no reason for us to be over there.
Yeah. We're only causing more trouble.
To be honest, yeah, we are, because we're making enemies with. We just want to be over there.
Yep.
We can figure out a way to do it all here.
Yeah.
We do now. We did. I remember this week we did sign them. Finally, Zelensky run up to Trump and said, "Please sign that mineral deal now," because when he didn't sign that mineral deal, Trump stopped supporting them against Russia, and Russia's been bombing ever since. He run to the White House this week and begged Trump to sign that mineral deal. So that does help us get out of the China thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, I ain't gonna hold you up, man. I know you got more calls to get to.
I appreciate it. It's good to hear from you, Jeff in Louisiana. Take care. All right, bye. We're approaching the top of the hour, everybody. Let me see if I can squeeze in some super chats, acknowledgement and stuff, right? Manuel, I had shown this yesterday. He did he gave the proof about the money that DOGE found, or if the waste that DOGE found. Let me see. Where did I go? Lord have mercy. Oh, come on. Do I not know how to copy paste? Over on Economic Times. Economic Times, I believe, is a liberal outlet, by the way. And they showed that there was a massive treasury error. And this came out back in February. It's kind of old news. DOGE blows the whistle and uncovers $4.7 trillion in mystery, a $4.7 trillion mystery in payments that lack traceability. And so if you read into this thing from February 18th, 2025, the Department of Government Efficiency under Elon Musk and our greatest president, Trump, they uncovered that $4.7 trillion in payments were missing a critical, they call it, Treasury Account Symbol, TAS code, making it hard to trace. And so what it said was, DOGE posted on X, in the federal government, the TAS field was optional. The trace field, tracing symbol or number or whatever field, was optional for around $4.7 trillion in payments and was often left blank, making traceability almost impossible per New York Post. New York Post shared what they tweeted. Missing tracking code often referred to as the Treasury account symbol. Interesting, huh? And so, I don't know. Doesn't sound right to me. And they spend money like worse, like wives with a credit card. Unchecked wives, obviously, with a credit card. So thank you, Manuel. Economic Times article from before saying DOGE is catching a whole lot of waste and suspicious spending. Fraud, he calls it. Nice. Waste and fraud. And it's crazy. Even the stuff that is traced that the Congress is approving, that's nuts. And that the departments are approving too, without the congressional approval. And that the evil people like Obama are approving. Equal pay, union pay. That stuff is not right. That's not American. Ridiculous. Before I get back to the calls, let me do one more thing and mosey on over to the Hake report, because I didn't get to all of the news today on the JLP show. I had mentioned Mike Waltz got reassigned, blah, 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 I don't care. Gaza, Real ID, Ketanji Onyika Jackson running her mouth. the way their quote, it sounded like there are like physical attacks on these judges. And I wouldn't be surprised if some judge were to get that. And I am not for that. I hope it doesn't happen. But because they would try to blame it on Trump, of course. And, you know, it's not right to be attacking. But she said, quote, these attacks are not random. Not welcome. These attacks are not random, she said. They seem designed to intimidate those of us who serve. She thinks she's serving Satan in this critical capacity. The threats and harassment are attacks on our democracy, on our system of government. Evil. Lies. And ultimately, they risk undermining our Constitution and the rule of law. So-called Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Onyika Jackson. Pardon me if I clicked a little too close to the mic. Might have hurt your headphones users. On comments, so this is what CNN says on comments made by our greatest president, Trump, and his allies, usually that's a communist buzzword, who rule against his actions according to far-left Politico, and it's a commie nonsense headline. Ketanji Onyika Jackson warns that Trump's rhetoric against judges are attacks on our democracy. What an evil, lying woman. She's attacking, honestly, Trump's freedom of speech, freedom to tell the truth. That's what the freedom of speech issue is, though, by the way. It's an attack on the truth. Truth not welcome by the likes of this beautiful gal. Nice white teeth she has. I'm talking about Ketanji, who talks too much. According to Based America First, who has sent coffees on buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report, by the way. Oh, she criticized Trump without naming him for his attacks. He didn't attack them. He just pointed out that they're undermining the rule of law, and she's accusing him of undermining the rule of law. They're undermining democracy, whom we voted for him to deport illegals. And let me show you one thing. Let me see if I have this. Do I have this from Commie Nonsense Network? I wonder if oh yeah, this is, speaking of undermining democracy, this is from a while ago. Ann Coulter put a bunch of exclamation marks, quote tweeting Rapid Response 47. That's a pro-Trump, basically a part of the Trump campaign or whatever you want to call it account. Deport all undocumented immigrants. 2016 versus 2025. This is from when? April 17th. Just less than, okay, a couple weeks ago. We're in May 2nd now. But listen to this.
Deport all undocumented immigrants. Voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016,
11 million. Pfft.
Just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive. Deport
all illegal aliens, even, I almost called him far left. Even, what do I call him? Black intellectual Ronnie in Ohio is acknowledging Trump gets an A+ on the immigration issue. And Ronnie in Ohio is arguing with him about the wall because he's like, he didn't complete the wall. He lied. Mexico didn't pay for it. Even Ronnie in Ohio had to acknowledge that he did right on immigration. Now, there are some on the right many on the right, who are saying, oh, he's not deporting enough. Even Trump is saying he's not deporting enough. In fact, I think they fired one of the guys who's not doing enough. And Tom Homan is like, yeah, the numbers were good, but it's not enough. And Tom Homan is like the border czar. And so they stopped the bleeding, the hemorrhaging of people coming into our country. And now we're working on getting the illegals out, and the judges are trying to stop it, colluding with the evil ACLU and those types, commies. And commies in the so-called, these activist so-called judges, Ketanji Onyika Jackson, who campaigned against the beautiful rebel flag that I used to fly. She went to one of those schools, right? Harvard or somewhere. I don't know. And she's like, we can't have this student flying the rebel flag, the American Confederate flag, at our school. Misguided black gal. Misguided to this day. Trying to misguide the country. Communism. Accuse Satan. Accuse others of being what you are. Terrible. Shout out. Ketanji won and Hake surrendered his flag. Yeah, there's no rebel flag on. Did you know that I used to have the beautiful rebel flag right here on my laptop? I still have it on my other laptop. They're like, what's with Hake? He surrendered his rebel flag and now he has and don't call it a plushie, stuffed animal. Granted, it is a octopus. Is it autism or is it anti-Semitism? Oh, Lord. These tentacles aren't long enough to reach. These tentacles are too short to save me from heaven. Are God's arms too short? My caller, David in Ocala, thinks that God's arms are too short for to save the mass murderers. Anyway, back to business. So is that news? Some black woman who's propped up got affirmative action appointee to the so-called Supreme Court, spreading mess, talking mess. Is that news? We need an earthquake or a war. How about a crooked politician? Hey, stupid, that ain't news no more. What a mess, huh? Speaking of, I gotta get to Manuel in California on the line over here. Manuel, thank you for calling and holding, man.
What's up, Hank?
Hey.
You didn't collect my money?
I couldn't collect. You got to fire me. Are you gonna pull a digit for every day that I don't collect for you, or are you gonna go directly to
I thought you were my
Omar?
enforcer.
Some enforcer, lame-o. No wonder we're losing the country.
Nah, I'm not worried. You ain't gonna pay. I don't even care. It's just open your eyes a little, you know.
Right. Shout out, Omar. He did vote for Trump, so I credit him for that.
I doubt it.
Oh, you don't think so?
Nah.
Interesting.
No.
I think he
some
did.
People are just go. I don't. Well, yeah, he was for the school thing and all that. Yeah, them Muslims, they got they're not bad, you know. They just have their own mentality on things, just like every other human.
Exactly.
But he probably did vote for Trump because the school thing, school choice, and all that. He was more.
Yeah, he's not for the LGBT.
Kind of
he doesn't like the LGBT agenda being pushed down on children like the liberals are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just what do you call that? Degenerate, you know? I go back to when I was in high school and I see how bad that was, you know. It makes everyone a degenerate, you know, but now even worse, you know. They got way more sexuality going on through high schools and even before.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a huge mess.
That's that fatherlessness.
Right.
I think partly.
Man, I almost said my mother-in-law. My baby mama's mom, me and her were having a conversation yesterday, and she was talking about how the public school is amazing, this and that, and blah blah blah. You know, she's 60-something, so she's obviously way out of school, doesn't even know what's going on. So, Jesse sometimes says like, "Oh, you're trained. You've been trained like the shopping cart deal and whatever." So the other day I was picking up my kid from school and I was telling, I'm telling my kid's grandmother this, and I was like, "How long do you wait in line?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll sit there for like an hour and a half sometimes." I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's I'm just sitting around killing time." And so I finally went and picked her up one day. And I was like, I wonder what they're doing. So I sat in line for 30 minutes and I watched my kid playing out there in the field, recess, 30 minutes before school was out. And so when my kid came up to me, I was all, "Yo, what are you guys doing?" She's like, "Oh, we're just playing." I was like, "So the last 30 minutes of school, you guys are just sitting there playing?"
Wow.
She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "From now on, you go straight to the office and leave. I'm picking you up. I'm not sitting around in line waiting for these people."
Wow.
And so I was telling my baby mama and her mom about that, and she's like, "Oh no, that's just normal." And I'm like in my head like, "Wow, you guys are trained to sit here and have your kids sit there at the school while the school is collecting money and the teachers, and it's not for them to have the kids be watched. They make them stay so that they get the money from the government."
Wow.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh no, they would never do that.
Of course
the
they
government
would.
want to try and just get." I'm like, "Wow, you guys are trained blind."
That's
So
interesting,
wild.
man. Yeah, and when you leave stuff open for abuse, they abuse it.
Oh, they'll take full advantage of that. Like, look, so if you have a line, because where my kids go to school, it's like right next to a highway.
Yeah.
So it backs up the road, and there's just traffic jams and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
If it were me, knowing this situation, and there's parents there 30 minutes early, and the kids are just playing, see ya. I'd be kicking those kids out. But
Yeah.
they won't, because then the workers wouldn't get their full 8 hours.
Right.
Then, no longer full-time, and then they want their raises because they're union when they're just sitting around for 30 minutes. But whatever.
That's interesting, man. What a scam. Do you trust, is it the type of place where kids walk home at all?
No.
Okay.
It's out in the country.
Oh, okay. So it's a ways to drive.
Yeah. My kid is in white schools,
Nice.
I want my kid to know how to read and do math,
Yeah.
I know for sure my baby mama doesn't know how to do math, because the other day we were talking, and she was, women are, they just over-exaggerate sometimes.
True.
She was like, "Oh, yeah, back in the day, I paid all this and all that by myself and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "How much did you make a year?" She's like, "Oh, about like $20,000. I was like, "How much did you pay in rent?" She's like, "Oh, about like $1,100-1,200. I was like, "So like 60% of your check?" She's like, "No, like 20%. She was like, "Yeah, she said 20%. And I was like, "No, it's 60.
Right.
And so I got an argument over simplistic math.
Yeah.
She's all like, "I don't know why you always try to make me look dumb." I'm like, "I'm not trying to make you look dumb. It's just numbers. You can't lie about numbers."
Right. That's funny, man. People don't really pay that much attention.
Well, if you don't even understand math, this is why, like, I feel too, so many younger generations are angry. Even, like, not to say just the blacks, because they're not the only ones that are as educated or pushed.
Yeah.
They don't push education on them as much. But like, I can see how angry and frustrated people get, like, just this simple conversation. Like, I'm not attacking her. This was like 10 years ago. I don't really care how much you paid for rent.
Yeah.
In just my head, it clicks. I look at numbers. I play with numbers, and you've heard me talk about stocks and all that. So I can see how angry people can get when they can't understand simplistic math.
Right.
And so if that was a different person, that whole conversation could have went way, 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 way different. But
True.
it's just crazy. Like, I do not want my kid to go through life and not even understand math. I've been trying to get her into a private school, but her mom's like not having it.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's what happens, though. That's life.
Yeah, I'm going to end up signing my rights away probably in the next year or two. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm just playing. You see my situation, so I don't want to just leave. I got nothing but time. I can sit around and do all that, but I get to that point where it's like, oh, I want her. It's okay if she has a boyfriend and like she's only 12. And in my mind, I'm like, That is so wild. Like, why would you put your child through that when you know they're not going to get married? The odds are highly against kids in school marrying. You know, most people marry someone older than them as a woman.
Right.
And men marry someone younger than them usually. The odds aren't really for you when you're having your kid date someone in 6th grade. Like, what's going on here? and so I already know I'm going to have to wash my hands from this and walk away because I'm not going to get no crazy old fight over it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Like yesterday, one more thing and I'll get out of your hair. Yesterday we were at a softball game, and her grandmother was all like, "You and my daughter are like the poster model of how co-parenting should work." And I started laughing because I started smoking. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, okay.
Eventually I'll quit. I
Yeah.
quit for like a month and then blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I was high and I just started laughing. Like, oh, damn it. Should have laughed. And she's like, what's so funny? I'm all like, you know that me and your daughter, like, were at each other's throats for years and years and years and years. Like, she took me to court for making a table, and my daughter was like 60 feet away from me, and I was welding. She took me to court over that, and I had to go to co-parenting classes, child appropriate classes,
Man.
and one other one, just for a picture, and she was 60 feet away from me, not even close to a spark.
Yeah.
And so I was all like, you know, me and your daughter did not get along. She said, oh, you guys are like best friends. She said that you guys were working things out together the whole time and this and that. And I like rolled away because I was like, I can feel the anger boiling in me.
Yeah.
Boiling, because I just wanted to be all like, yo, you don't, you know how it is when people get angry, you just want to explode.
Yep.
And I didn't. I sat there quietly, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to like roll away before I say something that really hurts you.
Yeah.
And she's like, whoa, and she just walked away. But I'm so thankful I found you guys because, like, I would have snapped on her. I've done it. Like, I fought her father before. Me and him were, anyways, yeah, I fought her father before. We don't get along, but now we do. You know, the situation's different. You know, like, I kind of gave up the fight of like, oh, this is my child, and I'm going to split this kid in half.
Right.
I don't do that no more. I've given that up. And
that's good, man. That's real cool.
Right on. Thank you guys for everything you guys do. If Omar ever pays, just tell him to pay you as a donation.
What was the amount?
The homie. I told him $10,000, but I know that's not going to happen.
So $10,000, and you're saying he can pay it to bond. And what was the thing? It was over
that exact $4.7 trillion treasury fund.
Okay.
When he had him on there like a month ago, and I told him that I sent that in.
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's impossible. That's not true." Blah, blah, blah. I'd put money on that. So he's the one that made the. I get it. I'm not going to hold him to it. I'm just poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Agitate.
Yeah.
He's cool. I don't mind him. You know, he's not disrespectful. He's got his ways. And
yeah, I totally like him.
Blah.
Right on, Manuel. Great call. Appreciate you.
You too. You have a good weekend.
All right. Bye. I am remiss because there were a bunch of, what do we call them? Pilled.net chat things that took place yesterday during my show, and I didn't get to all of them. I didn't get to any of them. Trashing Man Green gave a cookie yesterday, gifted the cookie yesterday. It's clean. Mr. Zoe gifted the shades. Welcome to Peeled. Pilled, PILLED.net /The Hake Report. JLP is on there, J.C. Lee Peterson. Pastor Chatelet gifted the shades. The Hank Report on Pilled. What the? Nice. Matt 17_76. Welcome in, sir. Thank you, man. Filter Dog gifted the can. Welcome to the comfy bunker. That's cool. I saw that Pilled.net is a veteran-owned and other, free speech type of place. I hadn't even heard of it. Let me just show it to you briefly because it's kind of cool. It's just kind of sort of exciting. Like there's this activity on there. It's not like Odyssey where nobody's there, shout out, or whatever. See, here's the Hake Report on Pilled. Jesse Lee Peterson is there. Watch, if I click on it, it'll be all loud. Activity on there. See? Terrible. Oops. No. Hello. Jesse Lee Peterson is there. Watch, if I click on it, it'll be all loud. Activity on there. See? Terrible. Oh, nice. Okay, I'm back. Testing. Let me check this. Nice. Okay. Boomer Hake can't do anything. Should I allow notifications? Look at all these people here, and look at look at these guys. Oh, look, they're giving more stuff. Don't ask me what they are. I don't know. But who did this one? Here, let me get out of the way. Matt gifted the cookie. Welcome, Broham. Thank you, man. Matt. And who's this? Filter Dog 1 gifted the can. Sweet. And don't ask me what these things are, but nice. Right on. And JLP will be live on the Fallen State coming up. So that's cool. Thank you, Animus. Thank you, Manuel, once again. And Amazing Asia, I kind of get what you mean. I should have posted, next time I have a guest coming up, I'll try and do like a community post on YouTube. Because I am live on YouTube and all these other platforms. YouTube's my biggest platform for me, for Hake, for live. Shout out. I appreciate them. Rumble too. Okay. Let's see if I can just plow through calls to do you all a decent service. And we'll also get to maybe some other stuff going on in the world, allegedly. Okay, William in California on the line here. William, you're live.
Yeah, man. Hey, James. Yeah, give him a heads up when you have your guest. That's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that tip.
I caught him yesterday, though. I caught him.
Yeah. Omar.
Talking about yeah, whatever.
Third rail.
Well, he wanted to get on there and advocate for the Palestinians.
Yep.
And
I liked the conversation. I totally liked it.
Yeah, I can get with it anytime he wants. Here's the deal: they don't own that area. It belongs to the Israelis.
So including the Gaza Strip and all that, it belongs.
You know what the Israelis are saying? They don't care where they go. You know that.
Nice. Yeah, are you they use the term ethnic cleansing. Is that such a bad thing? I mean, apart from killing, I'm not for killing, but killing's going to happen in a war when you're warring.
War.
Yeah.
And these people are the same people back in the late 80s and early 90s. They were little kids throwing sandals and rocks at the tanks. That's who
Hamas is now.
Yeah. Yes. So he can go back. That's the way I feel about that.
Who, Omar?
Don't nobody care about that stuff. Yeah, he can go back to where he come from because don't nobody care about that stuff. The Israelis are going to handle that the way they want to.
Yeah.
And they're losing. The whole place is in rubble.
Yeah. That's why you don't give in to angry action, because they did the October 7th attack. And they did the October 7th attack because
wait a minute, did he forget that, James?
No, they didn't forget it, but he's halfway justified it in that because of what Israel has been doing to them. They say
they took it. We took it from the Indians. They took that from them. That's the way it works. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, what a mess.
Did we give Japan back?
But let me get back to my point because the whites do something in America. The whites do, or one white or some whites do some attack, or they say the N-word too much or something. You're giving the government the excuse to clamp down on all the whites.
Yeah.
And so
no sense.
It's not right, but it's what happens in the world. It's like the law of the world.
You know what the worst thing is, James?
So it's what's happening to the Palestinians.
No, caving in is the worst thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Shout out.
It is. I mean, think about it. What's worse than caving in?
Yeah. Nothing.
Saying mildly attractive. That's really ugly. I mean, I don't have a nice way of saying that. You do, but that's you.
Ketanji's teeth are white. My teeth
I don't care what Ketanji. I'm not even talking about Ketanji. You want to talk about? Yeah, she is ugly. From black people,
she's worse on the inside than she is on the outside, though.
She's not even worth talking about because she's outnumbered in the courts anyway.
I know, but we don't really have a conservative majority.
Wait a minute, James. You got to see how this works. The Palestinians, they've attacked the Israelis before and lost. They're doing it again, and they're losing.
Yeah, and they were losing worse than they would have if they'd just been peaceful.
Ketanji, let's go down the list. Ketanji, she's outnumbered.
Be peaceful slaves or prisoners, open-air prisoners.
How old is she?
In her 50s, I think.
Do you think she's going to live a lifetime to actually dominate the courts? Well, then why are we talking about it?
I don't know, actually.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Thank you.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. You think you think the country's going to get better overall?
I'm talking about
long term
having an impact in the courts at her age.
With her mouth. Oh, you know what? 50s into. I don't know. She's not that unhealthy.
No.
Well,
look what happened to what's her name? What happened with the little short?
I hope you're right.
Lady. Remember her?
Beautiful RBG. Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
The little short one that died that was really famous.
Ginsburg.
She was liberal. Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
She didn't live long enough to make an impact in the courts. They're outnumbered.
I don't know, man. The courts have the Supreme Court has done a lot of damage to the country.
The lower levels have.
No, the Supreme Court has.
And Supreme has too sometimes.
Yeah.
It's really the lower level.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They've packed all those. Yeah, go ahead.
I know I'm right on that because it's a lifetime job, right?
Yeah. Right.
Now, what is the chances of her in her 50s living down what she believes in with all those other judges against her?
Well, they play the long game. They play generational.
Yeah, it's a long job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to answer the question about this is Black Friday, right?
It is. On the Jesse Lee Peterson show, It's Black Friday. Shout out.
Right. So there was a question about whether or not if they gave America to the blacks.
Yeah. Well, Alex from California asked if all the whites left and the non-whites stayed, how would the country do?
They wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
To the blacks, you mean?
Well, the blacks and Hispanics and Asians.
It's Black Friday, so stop caving in. It's to the blacks. I know that question. They said they asked. It was the blacks.
Okay.
They wouldn't make it.
Yeah. No, just like Gregatron said aptly, we need the whites for a bunch of these jobs and skills and a natural authority.
They don't come up with any.
Yeah.
They wouldn't make it.
Right.
I'm serious. They wouldn't make it, James.
Big Bump says he'd like to add the blacks always say that's something white people do with regards to like adventure and exposition, like that Titan submarine. They explore. Yeah. Whites explore and invent, and that's something that a lot of blacks are not interested in. They wouldn't even take some of the risks. White people are risk takers. Not necessarily in a good way, but sometimes in a good way.
And sometimes for humanitarian reasons, for research, to make things better. The blacks don't do that.
Yeah. Why do you say they when referring to black people wouldn't make it?
Because I'm not with a group and I'm not with them. I don't want them. Look, nobody wants them. This is the reality. Nobody wants them living around them.
Indeed.
Because they're violent and they get upset about everything. They're sensitive.
True.
Okay. I don't want them around me, and I'm black.
Right.
I've never lived in a black neighborhood, actually. I mean, come on.
Nice.
I got a dog.
Shout out. That's a fact, man. Interesting.
I
gotta keep it moving. I forgot.
But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Short.
I got a dog, and I want to keep my own stuff and take care of things.
Yep. Thank you, William. I appreciate it, man. It's good hearing from you. Take care. All right. Aaron. I got to get to Aaron in Maryland on the line here. Aaron, thanks for calling and holding, man. How you doing?
No problem, man. No problem at all. I actually originally was on hold I want to say two things. The first thing I wanted to say was I appreciate your show so much. I don't call as often. I'm more into listening to your show.
Nice.
For whatever reason. So I just wanted to say that.
Right on.
I'm calling in this one time.
Cool.
Yeah. And then I wanted to say, I wanted to ask you about yesterday. Yesterday with Omar was amazing.
Nice.
I enjoy your shows no matter what. It's awesome. It's a great right after Jesse. I just like it.
That's
I like
kind.
it right after Jesse. It's awesome. But yesterday's was electrifying, whatever that means. But I just want to say that.
You know, I really enjoyed talking with Omar yesterday as well. Sometimes it's sort of boring because we agree on a lot and then we have the same old disagreements all the time.
Exactly.
But there was a little bit more fire, and then the callers were also great. So
yeah,
I agree with you.
I was talking with a couple of folks yesterday right after that, and I was talking about the fact that the things that Omar brought, I also secretly had inside of me questioning, but I wasn't confident in asking anybody or bringing it up or even seeing that in myself. And the fact that he was confident enough to bring that up, I can't do anything but appreciate him for doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like...
You're talking about, for example, like the tariffs or cutting the government or that stuff? Or Palestine and all that.
And then Hamas, and then also his stance on when people kept trying to bring religion into it. And I like that he was like, listen, man, I'm not here to go back and forth on religion.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about some issues.
Right.
You know? And so that's what brings me to the other thing that you mentioned yesterday, which was, as Jesse says, Mamma mia, hola, gracias. You said that you don't care about facts.
Right.
I don't care about facts. I realized when you said that.
Nice.
But I wanted to ask you, what did you mean by that? Because I want to make sure I understand correctly.
Okay.
Why did you say that you don't care about facts?
Because oftentimes facts are irrelevant. They're boring. Like he was boring us with a bunch of facts about something that happened supposedly, I guess, between the Coptic Christians and the maybe Egyptians or somebody over back in the Middle East, you know? And that was an example of I really do not care. That was something that my caller may know about and Omar may know about, but it's like boring me to death. I'm tuning out, and it's like there's no life to it. And so often the left, if you will tell you some cherry-picked facts about the transgenders or whatever, and suicide, for example. And they will say stuff to justify pushing the gender affirmation thing, for example. And that's deceiving. That's a deceptively presented facts are what the mainstream media do a lot. Some of it is not even factual. They just cite it as fact just because somebody else said it. They can hide behind somebody else saying it in the government, for example, or multiple people saying something. Multiple people saying something doesn't make it true. For example, the January 6th-er. There was a January 6th-er who got pardoned by Trump. He pleaded guilty to something that he did not do. He pleaded guilty to take a plea deal to make his life easier for himself and the impact on his life easier for himself. But he literally did nothing objectively wrong on January 6th. But the FBI, the FBI misinterpreted his video, whether it was honest or dishonest. He's calling it dishonest, but it was sloppy work. They accused him of saying things that somebody else in the video said. They put intention on things that there was no clear intention. They said that he purposely went into a restricted area. There's no obvious sign of him being in any restricted area. All these things. And the media said, oh, he admitted to a felony in the insurrection. These are facts that are not the truth. And there's no life to them. They're meant to outrage and deceive and for you to hide behind.
Yeah. they are facts, but it's not the truth.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah,
it's
that's how I felt.
and
I didn't know how to. I've never proclaimed that myself, but sometimes when I'm speaking to people, I feel just the same way you said it. Like, bro, I don't care about facts.
right.
This is not
And
true.
if people are honest,
Like,
they don't care about facts either. Everybody literally has a bias.
Yes.
And people really don't care about facts. They care about how they feel. Feelings don't care about your facts.
No,
You know?
and you know what I liked was, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was at work listening to you,
Yeah.
and you said that, and then immediately I was upset. Well, upset, not me, but upsetness came, and I was like, "What's this?" Because I don't associate with that anymore.
Yeah.
So I can feel it coming on, and I go, "What's happening? What's going on?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I started to pay attention to what was happening in the conversation, and I noticed that Omar didn't react as heavily as I expected Omar to be like, "You don't care about facts. This show is over." You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the caller to be like, "Whoa, Hake doesn't care." I expected the chat to be in an uproar,
Yeah.
And I was just observing it, and nobody does care about that. They agree with you in a way. You know what I mean? By not. And I was just like, wow, it doesn't. The facts don't matter because the conversation you guys were having, getting to the truth of it mattered more than whatever facts you want to bring up, man. Like, why, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another thing you brought up, which was great, was that a lot of the things that are being spoken about in the world now, they don't admit that they're hiding behind like a righteous or like this victim thing.
Yeah.
But you are actually trying to go back to war. You just won't say it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, you took land from us. Okay, so then what are you saying, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to take it back? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
either accept that you got invaded and dominated, and you just be at peace with that and accept reality, or you want to go to war and lose hard, and nobody really wins in war. Everybody there's always a loser. There's not always a winner, and I don't even know if there ever is a winner
in war.
Yeah.
One
thing I learned in high school was there's always a loser and there's not always a winner. That's one thing that one of my teachers
Where'd you learn this?
in high school.
That was like a class?
Yeah, it was world history and geography. And this teacher listed off some facts about war. And one of those facts is there's always a loser and there's not always a winner.
No, you're kidding. You went to public school or what?
Yeah, public school. He's a white teacher, baseball coach.
No way.
Yeah.
Not at my public school.
Orange hair.
Me, you know how, oh, wow. I don't know how we came to this, but my history teacher was a super, super buff white guy.
Uh-huh.
And when we began to speak about slavery and stuff, he literally prefaced the lesson. Was like, guys, we're about to get into some dark stuff.
Oh,
and I'm
Lord.
sorry to be the one. I'm not kidding. He's like, I'm sorry to have to be the one to teach you. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
dramatic.
funny. Yeah.
I'm not kidding. He was a super buff. Like, he was almost in the NFL. All these, rumors about him, whatever. And he literally told us, like, I'm so sorry that I have to tell you guys about this.
Terrible. I mean? That white guilt or something. Is he white when he said that?
100% with the whitest of white. I mean, you're the only one whiter than him that I've ever.
That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's incredible. They taught you that there's no winners.
Well, he didn't say there's no winners, but that there's not always a winner, but there's always at least one loser in war.
Well, he didn't explicitly say that. For me, I mean, none of my history teachers ever said that. They were,
but it makes so much sense because all the
100%.
lives lost, and then the changes that you get aren't necessarily the changes that you want. And the person who comes out on top, the top of the dung pile, you could say, in the war, it may end up worse off than before.
Bro. Sorry. I don't mean to call you bro. Is it weird to call you bro?
No, it's fine. I think you sound like and Hispanic. Are you Hispanic?
No, I'm actually on the phones earlier. I called into JLP show and
Yeah.
Derek asked me if I'm black.
Okay.
And,
Nice.
I'm actually, both my parents are immigrants. They're African.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so I'm actually African, I guess.
But
That's the best answer.
you sound fully Americanized.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm coming recently, like a few months ago, I had a conversation with my father about that. Because my father, well, you know, he's immigrant, so he's like, dude,
Right.
you know, you go back home. You know what I'm saying? But I was talking to him like, what do you want me to do, man? I'm American. This is the grass is what I'm comfortable with here. The air
You brought me here. Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Anyway, I wanted to, man, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah. You don't get what you want in war. There's not always a winner. There's always losers.
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention to you. Oh, yeah. You mentioned that sometimes the winners of the war end up worse off. And I was going to say, you just hit on something not crazy, amazing.
Yeah.
It was in my country where I'm from. It's called Eritrea.
Okay.
They won a war against Ethiopia. And Ethiopia was backed by America and Russia, right? You look this up. Maybe I could be wrong. But that's so far what I recollect. And they won that war defensively. They were called the Sparta of Africa. And now I believe they have one of the highest rates of diaspora. Everybody is escaping the country like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
I'm telling you, they all yes. And what happened was, just like how you mentioned yesterday, that the real truth is that they were under the thought that they were fighting for a quote unquote country, right?
Yeah.
But that's a lie, because now what they used was, they say that, you know what, the people who fought, the martyrs who fought for the country, are the ones to be dang near worshipped.
Wow.
And so it's 100% conscription. If you are a citizen of Eritrea, you are implicitly a soldier.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
That's interesting. That's like what I hear about Israel. Israel, they make all the young people serve, quote unquote.
No, it's way deeper than that.
It's worse than that, huh?
I'm saying if you're a teacher, you're not a teacher. You are a military soldier who's holding the post of teacher.
Whoa.
I'm
Dang.
kidding.
Against
Isn't
who?
that wild?
Is it the Sudanese, or is it the Ethiopians? Don't hurt anybody, do they? Who's going after you guys? Well, I'm just saying that Ethiopians.
I don't want to get into it because of the fact that okay.
You may be biased or who knows what, and it's a whole nother conversation.
It is a whole other conversation, because it's really going to get down to basically how Africans shoot themselves in the foot.
Wow, there's Yemen right across the way from you guys.
Yeah.
Omar's people.
We have a lot of Muslims, half and half Muslim.
Okay.
The country is it's like almost like a holy ground. Axum is near there. Axum, Ethiopians are mentioned in the Bible and all that. So yeah, that us plus Ethiopia equals the Axum Kingdom.
Okay.
So that's like Queen Sheba, I believe, and a couple things. Yeah, some cool things. But it's to the earlier thing you were saying, it really comes down to literally it's just Africans. They want to fight, man. At this point, there's no other way to say it.
What's funny is the blacks will say, "Oh, the whites are so warlike; they kill so many." But there's wars everywhere.
Oh my gosh, that is the craziest. Oh my! Yeah, I'm telling you, there's so much that's hidden from the whites that Africans are currently doing. You would be shocked. It's out of pride, because they're like, oh, they're going to say this about us, so we're not going to say this. They're just going to make it another African thing.
Yeah,
we're not going to say it.
Right.
And then I'm hearing it, and I'm like, who cares about the whites? This is insane. What's going on? And they're like, are you betraying us?
Terrible.
Are you turning against us? It's like, but it's what's happening, man. I don't know.
Interesting. I appreciate hearing from you, Aaron in Maryland. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Great show. Appreciate it. I wish you can get monetized on YouTube so I can super chat more.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well,
Okay,
no
man.
worries. All right. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
You can super chat, guys, if you go to thehakereport.com, and there's different ways to super chat listed there. Thehakereport.com. Chops TMC. Chops ITMC. Over on Pilled. Do I still have pilled.net open over here somewhere? Indeed, I have. Should I log in? Don't look at my password, guys. Chops, is that him or her or it? Says, can my boomer self zoom in so I can see? Shout out to the boomers. Gifted the cookie. Emotional cognitive override is the state of mind intended for people to react and do damage to themselves and everyone else. I know it looks like I'm looking the opposite way from the thing. Maybe this works better. Emotional cognitive override. Wow. We were just talking about that in one of the meetings here. We have men's forums. Not to give away what goes on in the men's forums, but we talked about things like thoughts and emotions. Check out Church with Jesse Lee Peterson to find out more. I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to get banned from the men's forum. Not supposed to gossip about what happens at the men's forum. I like that term. There's a lot of veterans I hear. Chops ITMC or Chops? It's got to be ITMC. Thanks, man. The state of mind intended for people to react and do damage to themselves and everyone else. You know, I used to say during the Obama administration that they want you mad. They want you. He's trolling us because he's trying to tick us off. Obama, lying, you know, to make a conservative or a white angry or a man, you lie to them. And they know you're lying, and you do it anyway, and you keep on lying. And that makes people mad. It's frustrating to a child, to a, semi-reasonable people. It makes them mad, and then they become unreasonable. It's terrible. Shout out. Let me double check over on the Rumble crew. What's up, T-Flying Monkey, Age of Inversion, and others? What's up, Rita? Rita over on Facebook. Did you know I'm on Facebook? Nice. Okay. Like I said, I want to keep it moving. Let's see if I can get through all of y'all. All right? Starting with William, number 7 over here. William, thanks for calling and holding, man. You're live with Hake.
Hey, Hake. How's it going? I'm doing excellent.
Nice. Going well. Thank you.
So there were so many conversations before you picked up. I don't know where to pick up. I'm pulling over, though.
Nice.
Let's see. How about the message of Jesus? I was very interesting that guest Omar you had.
Yeah.
You said he's Muslim?
Yep.
He's Muslim, right?
Yeah, many Muslim.
I spent time over there in Muslim countries for about over a year during the Gulf War. And I think where maybe David from Old Cal is getting it mixed up, where Jesus' message was of repentance, and that's what we're to do. We are to go the right way, forsake, unrighteousness, and the fact that we know about a Jeffrey Dahmer 2,000 years later because of TV and news and all that stuff. I think that is a good example of what happens when evil's unchecked and hidden, if it's indeed even real. And so the message of Jesus was that we must repent, all of us, and he died on the cross not changing that message, and that what made him the most manly man. The fact that he refused to not tell the truth, even though his very own killed him over it. So what do you think? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. That was it. That was just my thought. That's how our gospel's been perverted. That they want us to worship Jesus like he is God, which would be making God into an image. when we're just supposed to, because even Jesus said worship God, and so we're supposed to do all things and worship God, and Jesus was our example and the message. So that's where we're going horribly wrong, and the Muslims, I believe, would agree with that, because they look up to Jesus as a prophet, as a teacher who spoke the truth.
I don't know if what I'm about to say is relating to what you're saying, but I like the statement that he says, if anyone would, whatever, he must take up his cross and follow me. Deny himself.
Deny yourself. Absolutely. And Satan did the opposite. He came to be served, and he lied and made Adam and Eve fall, which is why God cursed them. I think cursed the serpent, because the serpent allowed Satan to get in there, and that's why the serpent was cursed, which is why we got cursed, because we also obeyed at some level.
Yep.
So, yeah. And he cursed the earth and all that. So, yeah. So there you go.
Nice.
So, yeah. I think that's what's been perverted in the West, is that the gospel, Jesus preached repentance, and that we should go the right way. Even if we make a mistake, whether we fall or we didn't see something or we're stubborn or we were traumatized in the past, sometimes we don't want to talk about something, but then we need to overcome it. And Jesse's right, to forgive those who did that very thing to us, because sometimes we become what we hate. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes people overcome it. And that's what the gospel is. Just, be still, overcome, and then help others do the same. It's that simple. Otherwise, our whole jurisprudence system is a sham. Because nobody goes into the courtroom and tells the judge, Judge, I know I ran over these people because I was drunk and killed this baby and her mom, but I didn't mean to, and, can you just forgive me? Well, the other kids and the father is not going to think that's justice, right? Because it wouldn't be.
Right.
You have to pay the price. And so, yeah, nobody would think other than that. So that's why I think the gospel's been perverted.
It has.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It has.
I've noticed over my lifetime more and more of these phony smiley Christians are talking and pushing Jesus, and they don't have any idea. It's like
they have no depth.
Those who say, Lord, Lord, and I'll say, I never knew you. What you say reminds me of 1 John 2, 1 and 2. My little children, writes John, I gather, these things I write unto you, that ye sin not, that you do not sin. But if, keyword, any man does sin, we have an advocate, Jesus Christ the righteous. He is I don't know what propitiation is. I always forget what that word is.
So
for our sins,
I believe, means the payment. In other words, God's satisfied with He's satisfied. You paid the fine. You paid the price.
Not only for ours, but of the whole world. Boom.
Right.
In your face, David, in Ocala. Nice.
Well, I mean, I get it. The fact that he's bitter, I fight it.
Oh,
too.
no, I'm with him on that.
I'm almost 60.
Yeah.
I'm almost 60. But yeah, what he basically is talking about is becoming bitter.
Right.
You let the world make you bitter, and then you wind up going down the drain too. And so you don't want to do that. That's
True.
why we've got to stand together and encourage one another to be strong.
Yeah. Nice.
And not be bitter. So that's what I would like to encourage all the listeners to stay strong and do what's right, even like Jesse says, even if you're the only one.
Yeah. Right
all
on,
right,
man. Appreciate it. Take care.
Peace out. And shout out to Brother Rick.
Nice.
All right, man.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Jaime in Minnesota on the line over here. Jaime, thank you for calling and holding, man. You're live, finally.
How's it going?
Going well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Are you getting fitter?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Exercise.
I just did another blood test. When you going to do yours?
Never. I don't like
needles.
Never? I have that needleophobia that gal has. I'm kidding around. Check my
gotta
T
check your
levels. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Indeed.
you're never gonna know.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I was listening to the prayer event Trump had yesterday. You know, and he had all them religious people. He created a religious section, put them right there in the White House. You know that?
I did not know that.
So you had the different Christians and Jews and Islam. He had an imam in there to do some praying.
Sorry about that. I unmuted something that I found out that I shouldn't have. So he had
Okay.
he had an interfaith thing. Oh Lord.
Yeah, interfaith. Yeah.
Well,
they all did some good prayers. No hooting and hollering. The first one was a little iffy. A woman,
of course.
But she did much better than some of the other prayer people in the past.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
I don't, but
the black guy.
Oh, that guy. That's funny, man. Terrible.
But the black bishops, oh man, this time they hit spot on. I was saying hallelujah.
Right on, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Even the imam, I was thinking, oh man, this one could be iffy, but he did a great job.
Sweet.
Let me tell you, that was a baller prayer.
So they had an interfaith prayer event at the White House, huh? Well,
yep.
Whatever.
You're
never gonna
bringing
get me to
religion
not
back.
like Trump. Yeah, go ahead.
Bringing religion back.
Oh, that's fair.
So they'll stop persecuting the religious, the Catholics, the Christians, the people that want to pray for the unborn at the abortion clinics and stuff.
Right. That's cool.
So yeah. You ask somebody if they thought that America was getting better.
Yeah.
And it's getting better for me.
Nice. That's the way it goes. For the individual, it can get better.
Right. I'm doing better, so it's going to be better for me.
Nice.
Even if it's worse for everybody else.
Yeah.
That don't matter. If Hake don't look at his T levels, I'm looking at my T levels.
That's right. Indeed. Let let everybody else's T levels go to HE double toothpicks.
That's right. Third rail from Omar. I tried listening on you guys, but I couldn't do it, man. That guy's a commie.
Hey.
He's one of them commies. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Puts on all that gear, tries to make the suckers think he's American. He ain't American.
Heck, most Americans aren't even Americans these days.
He's still Lithuanian or whatever he is.
Yemeni.
He should go back to that country.
Well, I mean, he's pretty entrenched in New York. He's really adopted that culture over there. Yeah, I'm with you, man. He asked me if he should be on the same level as me, the equal citizen, or if he should be second class to me. I think that he should be second class. Let's say, because he's somewhat of a fairly fair-minded person at times. A lot of people can, or at least act like they're fair-minded, but there's something off in his thinking. And people can clearly say that about me too, but hey, let's be honest. Nobody wants equality. They want power. So I got to run, man. I'm getting distracted. It's fun talking with you. I appreciate you. Jaime in Minnesota.
You got Trump 2028. This is LFG.
L blank G.
Have a good weekend.
All right, you as well. Okay, so callers, I gotta wrap up. So Robert, Alan, Joe, Kansas, Michigan, Phoenix, and the rest of the callers, you are to be first in line. I talk big, but you shall get priority in the coming Hake Report shows. Kansas, Michigan, Phoenix, and the rest of the callers. Oh yeah, that's my. I know what that is. To be first in line. That's my pilled talking. I talk big. Lord, you shall get priority. Terrible. Okay, bye guys. Peace in the Middle East. Not. It's not that I don't want it, or at least in your hearts. Bye. Got to get out of here. No closing song because I have to end in 15 seconds. 10, 9. Bye. Take care. Bye.